Hi, this is Roy Evans, the executive director of the Urban Nerd Con. Our heroes, our villains, our stories, everyone's con. Make sure you tune in and check out the SyFy Sisters. No better sci-fi talk anywhere on the World Wide Web, baby.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the SyFy Sistas podcast, where we give you our point of view. I'm Tamia Harper, and I'm joined today by my sisters, Yvette Blackman-Tom.
Hello.
And Sabrina Wood.
Whoop, whoop.
Yvette made me laugh, y'all.
I
I was going so smooth. Everything was all right. And then she gave me this look, and I was like, oh, dude.
No, you had a spike in your name.
Oh, really?
Tamia Harper.
Yeah, I'm going through puberty, y'all. So anyway, digression. Hi, everybody. We're so delighted to be here again today. We're here to talk all things Foundation. It's one of our favorite new shows. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Yeah, definitely.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Foundation on Apple TV, Apple Plus, I should say.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Apple TV Plus.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
actually the real name. It's a lot of words, though.
Yeah.
We all know what we're talking about. On that streaming platform from Apple, that's awesome. That has a bunch of good shows, and this is one of them. And Foundation is something that we have. Some of us have some familiarity with the books by Isaac Asimov, which is what the show is based on. And some of us have no familiarity with those books whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
We thought it was really interesting to talk about the differences, some of the differences between the books and the TV show, but really how the TV show, by simply switching gender of some of the main characters and switching the races of some of the main characters, the impacts that is having on the storytelling and why it's so impactful to us, like why we started watching. I mean, it's not like, excuse me, sorry. It's not like just because there would be no Black people in it, I wouldn't watch it. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying that it makes it way more intriguing to me that several of the main characters of the show are Black and Black women at that.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's a huge deal on any show at any time these days, still. But especially
sad
for a science fiction show.
True.
Right. Still sad to say, but it's true. Mm-hmm. Right. That we're not marginalized to Black TV, I did that in air quotes, y'all. Y'all can't see my air quotes online.
Or, Black storylines. I'm
right.
too.
Mm-hmm.
This is a treasured science fiction book that, Tamia, you and I grew up reading this one. This is a cornerstone. I mean, everybody that was a real geek back in the day, you read Foundation.
Right. Like, to be fair, to be quite honest, I read Foundation. I read a couple of the Foundation books. I think I read like the first two. There's 7 books in the series and a couple of prequels. I didn't get that far.
No. True.
Which means, and also I read them when I was really, really young. So a lot of the concepts just went over my head, and I didn't give the work itself time for it to speak to me, but there were several reasons why it didn't speak to me. But I mean, we can go into that in a minute,
Right.
But yeah, so my knowledge going into watching the show was just one of confusion, because I had half-formed memories of characters and events and plots, and watching the show didn't help clear up any of them.
Yeah.
Because the show ain't nothing like no book.
Right. I think that was one of the hurdles they had in season 1 where a lot of us came into it, myself included. Like you said, you read it, when you were young. I read it years ago. I wasn't young, but I read it years ago. And same thing. I came into it expecting or hoping for or looking for certain things in season 1, didn't find them, and maybe got a little like, I don't know. But the show kept me going, and I liked, the stars, the actors, the cast, the production. I was in, even though I was like, this is not Foundation. This is not Foundation. But now here we are, season 2, and I've gotten over that hump. I'm over it. I know it's not Foundation. So what is it?
Right. And Yvette is coming to the show from like this. This is her first introduction to Foundation at all, right?
I mean, I've heard of the book, of course, but never read it. The books. Oh no, I didn't hear of the books. I thought it was one book. That's how much I did not know about it. The only reason, excuse me, the only reason I actually watched the show is because we had Chris Marshall on the show from another Apple TV Plus show called For All Mankind, and she kept saying, you have got to watch this show called Foundation. There's so many people of color in there. There's a lot of women leads. And I was like, let me watch this. Well, I tried to watch it many times, and I just could not get through the whole thing. I was like, what am I missing? I love that there are a lot of people of color, there's a lot of women, but I just could not get into it. Season 2 was getting ready to come on, and I said, let me try this again. And I tried it again with Lily, my youngest daughter. And Lily was blown away so that's not what happened. So I did finish, sorry. I did finish it. I still didn't know what it was about. And I went and started watching season 2. I was on episode 2, and Lily came and sat down with me and goes, what is this? What is this? What is happening with this? Because there's a lot of Black people with natural hair, and I think for her, not that there was a lot of Black people, because nowadays you see a lot of that. It was the women who look like their natural self. They were just regular women. Yes. SyFy show. And she kept saying, they just keep coming at me. Every time there's a new scene, there's a new sister.
It didn't matter what planet, there were sisters on that planet. No matter where,
there was a sister. And I was like, that is so real, because we are everywhere, and we should be seen everywhere. We don't have to be the lead everywhere, but, it was that. And then we went back and started from the beginning before we continued. Yeah. And it was slow, but I think I sat down and just took it in more because we were watching it together, and she got it. That brain of hers was like,
yeah, I bet that's right up her line, because, we're talking like, quantum.
Yeah, she's a quantum physicist. So this was just like, she's just in it.
Well, I think that like one of the things that that first season that was really difficult for as an audience member was that there were so many jumps in time, backwards and forwards and mid jumps, and and if you're trying to establish, like, and when you're already trying to establish a framework of a universe, right? And now I've got to keep going back and forward in time, and like it was that sense of like, it's something that if I'm reading it is a different experience. You can keep up with that when you're reading. You have like page break indicators or section indicators and things that let you know, little dots or 3 or 4 little asterisks in the middle of the page. Those are, things that let you know. And they did some of that, but if you weren't paying attention closely, you missed it.
Right. If you weren't looking at that bottom of the screen, it just ran through it.
Right. And, and there were several times I had to rewind stuff, and me, like with my vision, like declining. Like if I realized like I had to watch it with my glasses on so I could read stuff sometimes, you know,
Right,
and that which
exactly.
made it not like actually relaxing the first time around.
Right,
Like, you know,
right.
like, you know, at some point, like I'm working to watch this show.
Right.
So it was not something, it wasn't like I was running home to watch this because I knew I had to sit down and devote energy and time to it. However, it was so compelling that I did
Yes.
carve that time out
Right.
into my life to make sure that I did it,
Yeah.
you know, but it was that first season for me, it was a little difficult. It was, it felt, you know, really disjointed,
Mhm.
you know, until we got in the rhythm of them doing that. But I think that also that's one of the callbacks to the books, but then the books, you don't necessarily go backwards all the time. Like you just have like these huge jumps in time that you're
Okay.
going
Right,
through.
you're
And
not
that's,
going back. Right.
yeah, you're not really going backwards necessarily, you know, at all. Like, but you are jumping through. Like what he was telling was this humongous, epic civilization spanning, you know, story.
Right.
You know, they were spanning like 1,000 years or
1,000.
something. Like it was a huge story to tell. So when I realized that's something that I missed on my younger self, you know, it's something that I came to know just by like listening to other people, reading articles and stuff about it, that like, oh, I really need to give the whole scope. The reason why it's such a big project is because it's a big story.
Project. Yeah, that's
It's
right.
a big project,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep.
And when you're telling a story that's spanning all the, you know, all these hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, the reader, in order to experience that, if you really want to immerse them into that, you're going to take the time telling it,
Yeah.
you know?
hmm
Well,
And
I
I think I think the reason why I kept going back is because I knew that Foundation was a foundation, you know, of sci-fi. So that's why I kept going back. And I was like, I've got to get this. And I was like, and then all of these Black people working, I need to go back and, you know, I need to support
Right.
this.
Support- you
you
need to
support
know?
this.
So,
Right.
and now I'm so glad because like all first seasons, it's, you know, something to get used to. So I'm glad I went back because I love the first season now because that's where you get to meet everybody. And
Mhm.
now
You're
in the
getting
second
it.
season, you're so invested in these people that the origin stories for me, not the book, the origin stories for me are the first season.
Mhm.
Right.
So that's why I really like it now.
One of the things I felt, and I don't know if this is true or not, I have not read a lot of the outside articles and things about it, and I have not listened to the podcast. I will say that right off the bat. But for me, and like I said, I was having to get over that, you know, comparing it to the book. But I also felt a little bit like the writers kind of had their head in the book a little bit, and they were trying to stay with the book and be a bit more like the book. And in second season, they were like, all bets are off. You know what? We're just going to write this with the pieces that we want to take, the inspirations that we have from Asimov and from whatever else we have, because it was just so much eye candy that I saw that was all these callbacks to other sci-fi, and the visuals were just all over the place. I mean, I saw Contact in there. I saw Star Trek in there. I saw Star Wars in there. I mean, they were doing all these things. They were like, we're just going to tell this whole galactic story about all these eons. There was still all this time jumping, but I felt like the writers had gotten into their seats and they had put the seatbelt on and they were like, let's just go. We're not looking back at the book. We're just gonna go. We know the story we want to tell. And I felt like they were freed. I can't wait for 3. I cannot wait to see what they're gonna do on season 3. Because you always know the third season is the season.
Going back to what you said, Sabrina, you said that you saw these other titles, other franchises in this, but Foundation, Asimov, he is the foundation of most sci-fi. So I think more that we saw his works in those other franchises. You know?
Maybe indeed.
Yes, because
I was thinking of the visuals that they were using and the look, the grit.
Yeah, and maybe that's a callback too. Just remember, this is where all your sci-fi came from. You know, because
that's a good point.
I mean, it is and it isn't. Like Foundation was one of those ones that was one of the first wants to that
Well,
people
maybe
took
not foundation, but the author.
they took to tell sort of challenge the literary public to take science fiction seriously.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
and move it out of the realm of the pulps and
And the comic
separate, like
books.
that. There's actual big ideas happening in science fiction. There's actually literature. This is literature, as much as it is entertainment, you know.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, so it's hugely important in that way, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah. One thing I want to ask you, Tamia, because you read the books. Could
Well,
you?
no, I read
Well, what
some
a
of them.
couple of you've read more
Yeah.
of the books than I have. Could you? And I found myself doing this in season 2 more so than 1. I have to go back and let's watch 1 again, but I could almost tell when a line of dialogue was right from Asimov.
Mhm.
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah, and I was
Sometimes,
like,
Yeah.
oh,
or
that's
the- you
straight
know,
out of right.
or
I was
they're-
like,
or-
that's
yeah.
and
But
I would
there's-
go look it up. And
Mhm.
sure enough, it was straight from the book, and I just
Yeah.
felt like they kept his voice in there, which I really
Oh
appreciate.
yeah.
Yeah, because it is a distinct voice. I mean, one of the things that I've been listening to the books again, and just because my reading time is so limited, but I think I'm going to stop listening and go back and actually read again. I think this does not lend itself to the audiobook very easily. Not unless you're doing a full cast production, or you put a little bit more production behind the audio. Sometimes the segues and breaks are less obvious in the audio than they would be on the page. So, you know, I'm having problems with the audio production of it a little bit. I mean, no shade. It's just that I'm having problems following the story as easily. But what I remember, and it's interesting because for y'all who don't know, you know, I'm a child of the 70s. I was born in 1971. So, and when Asimov first published these, I believe it was in the 60s, right?
50s.
Or 50s, right? And it has this voice that's very dated. The language is of its time. It's, you know, there are very few contractions, and colloquialisms are different. And the books, especially book 1, there's no, I mean, everybody's white, and everybody's a white male.
This is the
So
middle-aged
you
white
have
man,
this
right?
entire
Middle-aged white
right.
science fiction.
An entire galaxy out there, and there's
It's just
nobody who's not
not
a
even
white
any
male.
aliens. It's just white people everywhere.
Right. You know, which is hilarious, you know, and it sounds very white male. Like, I mean, it's like, it
Yes.
sounds like a story that was told, even though it's higher literature. It's a lot, it sounds very, the first book is, you got to get through the first book, you know. It sounds like, you know, like white guy saves the day again, you know, even though it's not through, right. It's not through daring do or anything most of the time. It's all through cunning and guile and wisdom, you know, and, you know, like the biggest quote that goes through, especially books 1 and 2, is that, what is it? Violence is the last resort.
The last refuge of the incompetent.
Of the incompetent.
They
Right.
definitely use that.
But in the book, this is a huge diversion from the books to the TV show. All these Selden crises that happen are never solved by violence in the books. They're always solved by diplomacy, by some cunning, by some guile, by some trade, you know, and people really playing chess, you know, in order to advance. So like, we're going to take the retreat. It's going to seem like we're taking an L right here, you know, like, well, okay, well, you know, you say that you got the rights to this product, right? But in the contract that we wrote, the only people who can manufacture the components to make this product are us. So, you know, so the people, so
50s white man. We're talking, this is Mad Men.
Yes. I mean, like, so, I mean, it's, you know, I don't mean to digress.
No, but I mean, you're right. You're on it though, because the way the book is written, and then they've got to beef it up for today's sensibilities. Like we are not going to sit through watching guile and cunning and
No.
unless you put, Don Draper in there, let them.
No, it would have been it would have been a really boring
slog.
show.
It would have been a slog, definitely.
It would have been a slog.
I agree. The showrunner, David S. Boyer, I think his name.
Yes.
So he actually said that this is the writers are big fans of the books, and they love, they're putting those Easter eggs in there for all the book readers. But this is not an adaptation. This is a what do you say? A remix.
A remix,
remix of the books. It's not supposed to be, because like you just said, how is that really going to play today? Is anybody going to watch that? No one's going to watch that.
Well, it gives them a lot of license.
Yeah.
It gives them a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
But the other thing that's also disconcerting to somebody who read the books is like how they introduce characters and when they introduce characters. And also, I understand a lot of the criticism out there because they didn't just gender swap or race swap some characters. They completely changed the actual character. Salvor Hardin. Salvor was a mayor who was not a warrior, who was extremely smart and cunning. And Salvor saved his whole planet, and made them rich as all get out, right? Through being brilliant. And it wasn't like he was a saint or anything, like he was definitely pragmatic, and he lied to his populace in order to do quote unquote what was right for them, to keep them safe, so, he had his issues. He was not like, he was a great character, but he was also a great character in that sense that, he really used his brain. Now this Salvor that we get is like, I gotta protect, I gotta shoot it, I gotta, and that's not, not to say that that's all the Salvor is, because she's not. This Salvor is also complicated and layered, but this Salvor is a warden, not a mayor.
Right. She's not a negotiator. She's not a,
So all of those qualities from that original character are completely stripped and changed into something. So there's service in the name.
Yes.
But it's not keeping with, it's not really what was written. So, you get the show is, it's like a different brew. It's steeped in foundation, but it's something else coming out entirely, philosophically, it's a very different show from what the books were.
Even Harry Seldon.
In some ways, it's not, because it's still asking those same questions. That, like, individual choice versus, determinism and, things like that, like it's, the constant of power and the constant of power struggles, these things are all addressed because, the second foundation is still the goal of Harry Seldon in the books and in the show. And the second foundation, the books make it very clear, and the show has made it clear, like the second foundation was intended to supplant the empire. So it's like, we're gonna it's not a revolution, a power to the people revolution at all.
No, not at all.
It's simply upsetting one
empire for another.
And calling it by a different name, and it's still the same thing.
Yep. Empires fall and they rise. And they fall.
So there's lots of articles out there that if people are interested, that they can look at, like the differences between the TV show and the books and vice versa. And I'm sure this show is kind of controversial because of that, because there's a lot of license. Like, people are willing to give, especially if you're fans of the books, they're going to give you some license in order to make a good TV show. But at this point, it feels like it's completely divorced from, like it's just
okay.
Like, right. And that's my thing. And that's okay. I'm not one of these people that was so enamored of these books to begin with that I feel connected to them in such an emotional way. But there are people out there who do feel that, and they feel like they've been kind of slapped in the face, but other people, now mind you, this show is made in full consent and agreement with Isaac Asimov's daughter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Robin,
she's got
everything in that estate.
That's right. And I think she even has like a writing credit. Every once in a while,
she's an executive producer for sure.
I've seen her name up there for a writer once. I can't remember which. It might have been for executive producer, but I could have swore I saw it because I looked. I was like, "Is that writer?" And I didn't go back to check.
Yeah. So so she's very fully aware of what it takes to make good television and the difference. But my take is that this is a really extreme example to me of taking a book and or books and making a series out of it and really not sticking with the source material. Like The Expanse, for instance, The Expanse took a completely different viewpoint. Like they stuck so closely with the source material. That first season of The Expanse was kind of difficult for people who were not reading those books. Right. Yeah. It was a difficult, that was Sabrina and Yvette. Yeah. Like that was like, if you weren't already steeped in that world and knew that vocabulary, it was very difficult to get into that story and into those characters. But once you did, hold on. And then we were so grateful that they stuck to the books. Like they were very faithful to the philosophy and the ideas and the questions that they were posing in those books. You could see the characters from the books on screen. You could see the situations that happened in the books portrayed accurately, and you could go and follow the continuity of it.
Right.
This is asking something different from the audience. This is asking us to we're going to use these concepts. We're going to use these ideas. We're going to use these philosophies, and we're going to challenge you to think about them all and think and take what you know about Foundation and think about it all differently. Mm-hmm. And I'm not mad with that.
It works. I enjoyed the exercise. I really did. I mean, it was entertaining. It was well done. I think there was some of the acting I thought was a little uneven, but I just kept going with it. You can't not watch it. Once you watch that first episode of season 1, you're in. It's like, okay, all bets are off. We're on for this ride. Take me where you want to take me.
I do want to say that season 2 solidified it for me. Like I said, it took me a while to get through season 1, and I had to watch a little bit of season 2 to really go back and kind of say, okay, I'm in. But season 2 was a lot. And I mean, they did a lot of storytelling in season 2, and it was like a ride. And I just loved it. And I loved the acting. I thought the acting was wonderful because these are people who are changing as we watch them throughout the season, and they're acting as if they're totally different people.
Especially the emperors,
especially Empire.
Empire was like all four of those actors, because even little Baby Day, also not Baby Dawn, right? Baby
Dawn. All 4 of them are. Because they're totally different people. Or totally different clones.
Each clone that comes has their own unique personality. That was something that threw me off at first in the beginning. Like, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, and then when
that
you get it,
intrigued me from the beginning. I was like,
love it.
I need to know what that intrigued me because I've never seen anything like that before, and I think that kept me coming back. I always find them intriguing. Just the dynamic of that, just that genetic dynasty, I'm like, what? Who thought of this? This is crazy. But I'm just, I keep going back to find out what are they doing, and they're always doing something crazy. So,
one of my favorite lines was when the queen there, she was talking to him and she said, "Well, your grandfather, and Rue," and he was like, "He's not my grandfather."
Oh, Sarah.
And I was like, "Ooh, well, yeah." She said, "Yeah, I'm still trying to get used to you people."
Right, exactly. Right. I need to figure this out.
Okay, so while we're on Queen Sarah, I love her.
Yes.
Ella Ray Smith.
Ella Ray.
Ella Ray.
I love that
Ella Ray.
name.
From
First of all,
Bristol.
it's a cool name,
That
right?
is a cool
Bristol,
name.
England.
Yep.
Ella Ray.
Ella Ray. She did an amazing job.
She really
She
did.
came
This
in ready to.
young woman with thrust with the weight of all this responsibility on her, who
Yeah.
was not raised for it. Her sisters were raised for it,
Yep.
and then she got it because of the murders of her family. And then she comes in here, like, into the lap of the empire, right into the lion's den.
Right.
Mhm.
Probably
Yeah.
the murderers.
Bold.
Definitely the murderers.
Bold,
Yeah.
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 Bold and wary and wily and brave and courageous. She pokes the bear all the time. She's at dinner and she's messing with empire from the jump.
Yeah. I mean, she plays that role the way it's supposed to be played,
Mhm.
because any young woman, and we're thinking, what, she's 19, 20 years old, maybe.
Yeah.
They all act like that. They're coming in because they are feeling themselves,
Mhm.
they're beautiful, their bodies are all together, their brains are working, they're coming in there to challenge anybody. And she has a chip on her shoulder.
Right.
Plus, she's extremely desperate.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, this is all she can do. Her whole life is done. Like, this is her best option. And this is a hell of an option,
Mhm.
and I think she plays that character so well, because from the beginning, she's not taking their shit. She's going to rile up everybody. You hope she survives because,
Right.
she is like she said, she is poking the bear. But I just love the way she played that character. And I always wanted to see her. Like, what is she? Every time because it was great to see all that femininity in there, because all those dudes,
Right.
in that house all together. And the robot, she's not really, she's very mechanical.
Oh my God.
But
Right.
then
And Gail and Salvor are like, they're roughing it the
Right.
whole damn
They
time.
are roughing, always.
Always.
Them sisters is always
roughing it.
Those poor
move.
sisters, they not
Man.
getting no
Something's
luxury.
always happening to them.
Poor Gail, man.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
I was looking at her, and what? One of the times that popped into my head was O'Brien must suffer.
Gail.
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 Definitely. That is
See, it
definitely
always
Gail.
comes back to Star Trek.
Always. Oh yeah. It definitely, because I think when I saw a lot of like Sabrina said, you see a lot of the other franchises in here. I saw a lot of Star Trek in here also, And then when I was saying that, I remembered something, and I didn't want to come to it because I can't remember exactly where it was, but I remember Riker said one time to somebody about Data that Asimov's robot, or Asimov's positronic brain, did he talk about the positronic brain in some of his books? Well,
No,
it came up in Star Trek somewhere. They mentioned Asimov's theory or Asimov's robot, and I was like, and then I'm watching this, and I'm like, okay, what's her name? Why can't I think of it now? Demoiselle.
Mhm.
It's definitely the positronic brain,
Oh,
and I'm like, oh, is this, what they were talking about? So I digress. I'm sorry. But when you mentioned that, I was like, yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Star Trek is always there.
Star Trek is
that
always
robot theme is well, number one, that's Asimov all over the place, because that is
Say that
something
again,
he-
Sabrina. What'd
I
you say?
said that's Asimov all over the place. The robot theme of the robot.
Well,
taking
yeah,
over
that's
iRobot. It's all through his works, and
Okay.
and now
That's
here
what they
we
were talking
are.
about then. Mhm.
Right, yeah, iRobot, and here we are talking about AI and what the threats are, and we've got this character in there that's just like,
Rizzo.
here it is.
I knew from the beginning that she was the pin.
You knew, I knew she was trouble
the
first
Oh,
season.
God.
I was like,
First time
oh
I
no,
saw
this
her,
one
I
right
was like,
here.
Oh, there she
There
goes.
she is.
That's her.
Watch out for that one.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it. I
And
was like, yep.
season
I just
2
think-
starts off so crazy. I'm like, what is happening?
But
I didn't expect that at all.
You know what's so cool about it, though, with them recasting these characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Salvor and Gail as Black women, right, who are standing against and opposed to Empire.
Right.
Empire is cast very deliberately as a white man.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Demerzel, who was also that character was originally a male character, and recast as a white woman. And so through the eyes of colonialism, as a brown person, you see that white woman behind that white man. Every black woman knows it's always the woman you got to watch out
That's
for.
the one.
Always.
We always.
Always.
We knew the minute I was like, oh.
I mean, that was like in the Space Karen.
Space Karen.
Robot Karen.
Robot, yes it is. Robot Karen. I Karen.
But it puts a whole different spin on reading this show. I think, like, particularly as black and brown people watching this show, it's reading a whole different way.
Yep.
That I don't know how intentional that was. I know that it was intentional to cast Gail as a woman, at least. I don't know if it was intentional to cast her as a black woman.
Yeah, I don't know. I know all he said was that he wanted it to be for a global audience and for a global audience to see themselves.
He really did it. He brought the Indian
actors in. I was
so psyched.
He says, this has to be for a global audience. And he wanted everybody to see themselves in this show. And I'm telling you, everybody's in this show.
Everybody's in it. It was great to see. It really was.
It's everybody. So I love it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know he addresses it on that podcast. If you guys go back and listen to the Foundation, the official podcast on Apple Podcasts. That's really the only place you can get it. That's the sucky thing about Apple Podcasts, is like you can only get them on an Apple thing.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah. So, but anyway, he says it in one of the first episodes of that podcast, but I don't remember what the answer was.
Yeah.
But I just think that regardless of whether it was intentional or not, the reading is there.
Yeah.
And there's no other way to read it as a black person or brown person.
Not for us.
All three of us read it that way.
It is a direct, it's a direct parallel to colonialism. It is. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, it's just colonialism in terms that we can understand it. If history had been different and, the color of
galactic colonialism. It is colonialism.
It is colonialism. It's just that, the variable is the colors of the skin. Who wrote it's always going to be the same dynamics, power dynamics going on. But Demerzel is one of my favorite characters in the whole series. I love this actress. She's amazing.
Yeah.
Lynn Byrne, I think her name is.
Yeah, I think it's
Laura
Byrne. Laura Byrne or Byrne.
She's killing it.
Birn.
She is killing it.
Yeah, she is killing it. She's watching phenomenal.
I love watching. I love Salvor a lot. I love Salvor.
That's my girl.
I come for Demerzel.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Demerzel is giving it every time. I mean, the most minute gestures from her that just speak volumes. And then her storyline, they really enhanced that and they've made it something really compelling. And, and it's so tragic.
It is.
So
extremely tragic.
We end up relating still as a black woman. I can relate to Demerzel because she's a captive too, which is also another one of these dynamics of colonialism as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that you end up, even though you end up relating in some ways to the people who are oppressing you, because some of them in turn are oppressed as well. It's, degrees of oppression.
I think everybody in this storyline is oppressed in some way or a prisoner of something, of their circumstance, there's everybody, especially the theme for this season was all about people being free, finding freedom from something, I love these. Each story is not connected right now, but I think I'm just waiting for it all to come together.
Mm-hmm.
But do I really want it to come together? Because I love it the way it is. But it's coming together in little ways, which I think I like that even more, that these little things are coming together, like, what was it? Gail is the one that told Dr. Selden.
Harry Seldon.
Yeah, because I think because I read the captions and they name him Dr. Selden, and then the other one with Gail and Salvor, they name him Harry.
Okay.
So that's how you know the difference between the two, I guess, because they named them totally different. But I love a lot of things about him. I love that he found out about Holder Malin. Is that what it? Hollow Malin through Gale. Harbo Malin, right? Harbo Malin.
Harbo Mallow.
You know what? I got Game of Thrones on my mind. Hold the door.
Okay, I'm just going to say one thing. Did you think
Hober?
he looked like
I said Harbor. I'm listening to you.
Hober
Mallow.
Mallow.
Jesus, did we watch this show? Did we know these characters?
Did you think he looked like a young Jeff Goldblum?
He looks like he could be related to Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, I guess so.
From like Jurassic Park days, I was like,
it's
like Jeff Goldblum back when he was kind of like that guy.
Was he? Was he the guy? Okay.
So who was? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thought he was the star.
Okay. I want to. There's another favorite storyline of mine too. I want to go after you're done.
I'm done. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So Bel Rios.
Yeah, that's
the general.
The general and his whole storyline was captivating and amazing too.
That was a crazy ending.
Yes.
Oof. Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, but when I saw his husband, I was saying to myself, wait a second. First of all, he hasn't seen him in 6 years. Second of all, they were probably serving for like 4 or 5 years together. I said, when did he marry this guy? When he was 12? I mean, the guy looked like he was like,
I know he looks so much younger than him.
He looks so much. I know, and that was fine. But it was like
May, December.
So when did you first hit on this? You was chicken hawk. Like, oh my god, he was fine. I was like, yeah, that's your hubby. I would be saying yes to the emperor to get him back. Sure.
But that scene when they both saw each other when they reconciled, came back together, I was crying. It was so beautiful.
It was a beautiful scene.
So
when he was cutting his hair.
Yeah, that was
stunning. It was stunning. So those are some of my other call outs, but let's get to our girls.
Yeah.
Let's get to Gail and
Salvor.
and Salvor.
I got another one in there too.
Like Lula Bell and Leah Harvey.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'm in love with them.
Yes. Yes.
I said the same thing.
I'm in love with them.
I'm in love with them too.
Yep. I love them. I love them. They're like family.
Right?
Come here. Let me hug.
Don't do nothing to my girls, okay?
Yeah. Well.
I mean, they are acting their asses off.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, Lula Bell's character, Gail, has been through some shit. She's got to leave her home world, right? Which was this podunk ass planet, and everybody was like ignorant and she was just smart and like they didn't understand numbers and whatnot. It's like science is real, people. No, it's crazy and evil.
Fishing.
We're going fishing.
I'm like, okay, time to go. And she gets to the big city and then she ends up on trial. Like first,
like in 5 minutes,
right? And that's what I was like with Harry. I was like, "Fuck that guy."
So that
he was playing it from the beginning.
Oof. That part was actually very true to the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
All the backstory about her home planet that's new, but I mean the name of the planet and the fact that the character came from that planet and went to the city and was like, the next thing you know was immediately on trial. That's all like straight out of the book, which was great. So that was grounded. But then Gail goes on this journey, right? And Gail is the smartest person on the show. I think Gail is smarter than Harry.
Oh, yeah.
That's the whole problem.
Definitely. That's the problem.
That's the whole problem. Harry freaking knows it.
Oh, yeah.
Why he's always yelling at her.
He knows it. He knows it. She's the smartest one.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, no. Oh, yeah, their arguments are funny. I love listening to them argue with each other. And they just start throwing these huge words at each other. And she's like, well, that's not, I mean, I can't even repeat it, but I had to roll back to just see them.
Yeah, I love it when they go head to head.
Right. And then, of course, Harry, like, he's like a complete man. He just goes like, well, I'm just going to take control of the ship. So there. Okay, no, that's not the end of the conversation. Wait. It's just like, it's over because I got control because I'm still a robot thing. I'm in the ship. And I'm like, wow, really? So I was glad when he was alive again. I was like, yeah, let me just have to beat your ass.
Right. And then Salvor, I mean, even though the original character was not a warrior person, I'm not mad at her being, being this strong Black woman, being this strong protector, being this strong fighter. Yep.
Somebody got to do it with this trio.
A very empathic person, and and again,
a well-rounded character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's smart. She's smart too. I mean, she knows.
Yeah.
She's quick. That's the thing. She's decisive, which what drives me crazy with
Gail.
Oh God, she makes me so crazy. But that's who she is because she's got so much in her brain. Mm-hmm. She's going through every single little, possible variant. Mm-hmm. Whereas, Salvor is just like when they look. My favorite scene though. When she threw the thing out in the sand. She said, just go to the mountain with him, will you please? It's like, this mess up. I'm not going. I am going. I should go. She was like,
go,
girl,
Mom,
go. Right, Mom.
So you always need the practical one.
Yes.
Yes. She is it. She is it. But there's a lot of action that I really love the action that they're putting our sisters through. I don't know. Mm-hmm. If they, I think actually, I thought that Louisville did say she got hurt in the first season. Some of the water scenes, they had her diving so much and everything, which I'm really happy to see all these Black women that are swimming. But yeah,
thank you. Hello.
And and I love that they are so physical in this second season, and they are really just kicking some butt.
They're action heroes.
They are in the vein of today's female in the sci-fi, which is that's the way. Well, we're playing
what I
now.
was going to say. You know what I was thinking. I was like, just like Kira Nerys.
Hey, baby.
Hey. They have
Captain
a role.
Burnham. Hey.
Michael Burnham. You have a role that was written for a man, right? Originally, but that was played by a woman. Why? Because we can. Right. Because these traits are not exclusive to men.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I think that I will be forever grateful to the show for showing these two characters in this way.
Yeah.
Like no matter what happens, it's super important for us to be seen, for us to see ourselves.
Right.
I can fly the ship, pick the ship, and kick your ass.
Right. I mean,
or I can be Queen Sarah and that's outsmout you, and
I think Lily said it. She was like, "Oh, when we were saying, why can't I remember her name? The robot,
Demoiselle.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to say Mademoiselle for some reason. Demoiselle. We are saying that she's the one, but I know Lily was like, "Oh, that's the one. That's the girl. It's the one, the pretty girl." The pretty girl with all the pretty clothes is usually the ones that ruin your life. Because you don't take them seriously.
Right.
And they come in with a plan, and they've already found you out. They know it's gonna work, and they use everything they have to just ruin your life.
Oh yeah. I love watching her play Day against Dawn.
Yeah.
She just poor Dawn. He don't know what's happening.
I know. Dawn is forever just being led around by his nose.
That's exactly the thing.
But I'm so glad this season, at least Dawn got the girl, and and
Yes.
survived.
Yes, and survived.
And survived.
Right.
That was brilliant.
Last season,
love that.
yikes.
I love that. Another brown woman that I want to give a mad shout out to for me is Brother Constant.
Yes.
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 Brother
Oh, okay.
Constant.
That is my girl, Isabella, right?
Isabella Laughlin.
Laughlin. Okay. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh my God. Did she
Love
play?
her.
Oh, what? I love her. She's so endearing.
Very.
She's so.
She's got great lines.
She has the best.
She's got the best lines, and she's so Brother Constance just so self-effacing, like you don't. I'm like that. You're just like kind of every person, like you're me when all my insecurities and just doing the damn thing anyway and laughing at myself, knowing that I'm tripping over my own feet, knowing that like I'm not executing gracefully and like this is not my forte. I'm not going to stand out like with my mother necessarily. Like my mother's a diva, y'all. My mom is a true diva, right? So like she walks into the room, she's just grace and like da 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 da, and I'm like trip in the room behind. Like I know that.
Right.
I'm good.
That. Yep.
I'm good that, but I have to love that about myself, and that gives me my confidence too. Is that that's why I love Brother Constant, but I also love that Brother Constant has faith. Like,
true, she's a true believer.
That's another aspect of Black womanhood. Like whether it's I don't care what you call your faith, and it doesn't have to be a religious faith. I'm not necessarily talking religious faith, but we act with faith. We step out on faith every damn day that we exist on this planet. Like white people walk around like I know I'm good. I mean, like there's a difference. Like they get it every day. There's a privileged confidence.
Right. They get it every day. They're affirmed to be great. Right. They're affirmed to be white. Affirmed to be a white woman, white man.
It's everywhere. Every image you see, everything. Have you guys ever searched? If you use a GIF or a GIF, I'm not going to enter that debate, but just so everybody knows what I'm talking about, either one, it's up to you. Have you ever searched like happy birthday?
Ooh.
Like I searched happy birthday and then I put Black woman with it.
You have to.
You have to, because otherwise Black women are not going to come up in the GIF.
Oh, yes, the search, yes. Anytime I look for a meme, a GIF, I always put Black, capital B.
And then you get weird shit.
You have that in there too. So I don't put Black woman, then you get the weird shit.
You get weird shit. I searched specifically happy birthday Black woman, and I got like 10 eye-rolling sisters like with attitudes, and I'm like, I said happy birthday Black woman. If you just search Black woman, look at all the negative GIFs you see. Absolutely. Search white woman and see what you could, which is all like alluring, sexy, angelic. Happy. Yep. Angelic. Black woman, you get angry and and what I love about Brother Constant is that Brother Constant knows that she's an outsider, but it's her recognizing that she's not this other thing that gives her all her confidence, and she doesn't try to be anything else but what she is. Yeah,
that's what I love about her. She is so okay with herself.
Oh my God,
and
in every way.
I just love that. I mean, I don't
She's
know.
brave.
I wish I could be that way.
Right. She was the first one to run into the Tesseract to get over there. He was in the thing, and she's like, well, we're going to go get him, right?
Right.
They're just looking at her. She charged on in.
With their thumbs up their butts,
Got the water and the food, okay?
Exactly.
Love her.
Yeah.
I got a shout out for one other one, too, that I love the makeup that they did on this one. She bends light.
Oh, please. That was my next one.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, my gosh.
For those of us that watched EastEnders, all right? Judith Ciccone there. She's on EastEnders. That's where she started.
Is that where she started? Really?
Yes. She's almost not recognizable under that makeup she has on, which is I just stopped the TV screen to see what they did to her because I loved the way she looked. And I love the way
I love the spacers.
She bends.
She bends light, right? Is
yes,
that bends light.
And then her mother. I love that her mother. What was the mother? She is center, something like that. So the mother. I love that the mother with a plan. She wanted to, she just came because she wanted to see her daughter. Right. And then to find out that they are also, they're like slaves.
Right.
To the empire. And now, that whole ruse that they went through, which was, I don't want to say what happened because you need to watch it. I mean, there are two ruses that go on in the last 2 episodes that will blow your mind because I don't think anybody caught on. And then the outcomes, one was heartbreaking and one was, thank God.
Right.
And I don't want to go into that because I think you should really, even if you watched it, watch it again because it is so good. Because they told you that this was going to happen. Like this was planned. Like it. Oh, so good. There were a lot of ruses. So there were 3 ruses, not 2. Because even with Empire, there were ruses. Mm-hmm. So yes, so every storyline had a ruse that actually worked out pretty well for most people.
Yeah.
For the majority of the people. Everyone. Yeah. So good.
I think that the show stands on its own. I think that if you are a foundation book lover, just divorce yourself from that and just enjoy the show for what it is.
Yeah.
Don't get stuck in the book, just enjoy it because even though this is such a departure from the book in so many ways, it's still really good television. It's really incredible. It's really wonderful storytelling.
Yeah.
It's wonderful direction. It's wonderful production. It's everything. The acting is top tier. Everything about it is top tier and wonderful. And okay.
Sabrina's like,
Sabrina says no.
I got a couple people. That's okay. Hey, sorry. Keep going.
So I don't know. I am a big fan of the show.
Yeah.
Me too. Even though I was confused as hell for a lot of it.
And I loved it. I loved the confusion. I loved trying to figure it out. And going back and understanding
This is why I'm a lover of science fiction and fantasy and why I've always read these books since the earliest age because my mind likes to be engaged in solving a puzzle. You're always dropped into a world that you don't know much about and you're along for the ride to find out about it. And these characters and what's going on. So, I mean, those of us who love these genres, who love speculative fiction, we like to think.
There you go.
I mean, we like our easy stuff too. We like our brain pudding as well, but we like to think, and this show will make you do that. And it's worth it to think, and there's also some gorgeous dialogue in this show. I mean, sometimes it's just so poetic that you just got to go back and listen to it again, and I think that that's one thing that I missed on the first watch. Like you can watch it many times and you're always going to get something new out of it.
You should watch it many times.
Very textured, very layered.
Yeah. And you talk about gorgeous. The way it looks.
Yeah.
And that I love that they are not in sound stages,
Right.
It's all
they're on location.
They're all on location.
Yes.
And I think I was listening on the podcast like the first season or something, or the second season. They shot like one of the seasons. They ended up shooting in like 10 different countries.
Wow.
Because it looked like it.
It looked like I believe it because it looked like it. It was just, and there are places that I've never seen on the screen before. Some places you're like. That looks like,
right.
Fun. I mean,
damn, that looks like Canada again.
Oh, New York again. Okay.
Yeah.
Central Park again. Okay.
You mean Canada / Central Park again?
Right. But it just looks so gorgeous. That's a character, the location because it everything they do has to do with those locations. The dialogue goes around the location. It's just they just did such a great and they do some good space porn too. So
the space porn is good.
Yeah,
it's incredible. I want to give a shout out to whoever's making the miniatures or the drawings or the renderings, whatever they're called. I am giving you the Emmy right now. Here you are. 'Cause I enjoyed watching it. There was sometimes when I actually, I stopped it to just look at the picture to see what all they had in there. And I just love the jump ships and the space fold.
The Invictus.
Do it to me.
Just
Do
the
it to
thought
me.
of that ship was incredible. You know.
Yes, they did the thing.
Loved it.
Mm-hmm. And I know that we're about to wrap it up on here. You know, I just want to say that our main impetus for doing this show today about Foundation was not just that we love the show, but we love what it does to center Blackness in the universe, right? And in the future, you know, and it's just such a cool trick that's being played on upending this version of storytelling that like started with Isaac Asimov, who came out of his own tradition, all white, and white, male. That first book had one woman, I think, in there, and she was a side character and she was a shrew, you know, to recenter, like just by placing these women at the center of the storytelling, it starts to tell a whole nother story, you know, that I don't think Isaac Asimov ever would have dreamed of telling, you know, but
I think he would have liked.
Right. I think he would. Exactly. I think he would have liked it. Yes. You know, so it's like it's the germ, you know, and it gave the seed germinated and grew into this tree. Like, so I love how we are centered in this universe. So that's my joy with the show. That's my,
and we're humans.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're not covered up in makeup. We're not alien. We're not other.
We're all humans.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah. So thanks, guys, everybody at Apple and everybody on the crew of Foundation in all capacities. You know, thanks for giving us some great stuff. I mean, it's amazing. We thoroughly enjoy it. So can't wait for season 3.
Yes. Can't wait. There's so many questions. So many questions.
Oh my word. So many questions. I know. Now I feel like I'm going to go back and just do straight season 1 and 2, all 3
definitely.
together.
Oh, yeah,
we're going to pretend it's Star Trek. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. It's
That's high praise. That is high praise, Foundation.
Hey, Sabrina, you want to let people know where they can tell us their thoughts about Foundation if they have some that they want to share with us?
Sure will. You can find us at SyFysistas.com. That's SyFysistas.com. Join us on the Mothership and the SyFy Sisters Book Club, both on Facebook. On TikTok, Instagram, and Threads, we are sci-fi.sisters. And we're also on the Twitter, or X, as SyFy Sisters. Become a patron of SyFy Sisters today at patreon.com/SyFy Sisters. The Trek Geek Network's presenting sponsor is Fansets. Go to fanset.com for pins and memorabilia from all your favorite franchises. Visit fansets.com and use Trek Geeks, all caps, for an exclusive 10% discount. After listening to this podcast, please rate us and leave us a review. We might just read it on an upcoming episode.
Before you finish, I'm sorry, just please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's SyFy Sisters Inc. Please subscribe, rate, like, post, share. I don't care what you do. Just hit the link. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. We got to shout out the baddest engineer in all universes. That would be Dose, the anonymous one. Dose. He's responsible for all the music you hear on our show, as well as our production services. And if you're in need of his services, hit him up on Instagram at Dose_the_anonymous_1. And we love you guys. We'll see you next time. Peace, love, and hair grease.